Got some more people coming in. Nicole Welch.
Just letting in everybody who's coming in.
I know Hackman said he was going to try and get on.
Oh, nice.
Ruth, are you actually here? I sort of see you twice.
Go. I'll be back.
The Zoomness of it all.
I'm wondering if Ruth might be having some issues with her audio, and
Her
she may have
connection?
called in.
She might be.
Jason Headley's coming in.
Is that Jason Henley arriving, huh? That's gonna be.
Coming in from San Francisco, California.
Okay.
Ruth, are you there?
Oh,
Yeah.
there you are, Ruth.
All right, I'm here. So I found a whole stack of old theater programs today that I knew I had, but anyway, I found them, and there's a lot of treasures in there. So
Rachel's coming on.
It's fantastic. A lot of people pop off and pop back on here.
Yeah. That's all right. There's Steve McAvini.
See everybody.
We'll give people a few minutes to jump on here before we get started. What's up, Steve?
What's up, Lonnie?
Happy, did you just turn 50?
Thanks for announcing that. Thank you.
Oh,
It's
it hurt
too.
me. It hurt me to realize that's what it was, man. It did a number on me.
Yeah, me too.
You don't look a day over 60.
I'm just happy Greg's here. That's all I have to say.
Uh,
All right, Steve, we all remember when you were young.
Bonnie, we're closing in on it. You better shut your mouth.
yeah, no, trust me, man. I feel it. Don't you worry. I know exactly how old I am. My back knows exactly how old it is. My back's going on like 75. My back is, it's nuts. We're gonna give people a couple minutes to kind of come in, and
Kara Fox,
Kara, hey,
she just
Kara.
came in.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. You got the whole crew there, Kara. I see dogs, I see kids.
Yeah, I have 2 cats and a dog and a child.
All right, very
Yeah.
good.
So good to see you guys.
Everyone, welcome to the D&E family.
yeah.
Absolutely.
If you want to think old, my son just turned 16 earlier this month.
Oh my goodness.
Time flies.
Mhm.
Where are you at, Nicole?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania area.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen you. Good to see you guys. And Mary Alice, it's always good to see you. Glad to have you.
Wendy.
Yay.
Sorry, I came back on. I'm in a better spot. I couldn't hear everybody.
Yeah, that's all right.
I
We're,
was on my phone.
and Tom Hackman, he just came on.
Tom.
Good.
Hey, Tom.
Hey guys.
And
Tom,
Mickey
how's your
Collins.
daughter?
We're doing the old hold the house for 5 minutes to let everybody sneak in. So
Well, we are really glad to have you guys join us this evening. Lonnie and his students have been working hard on this stuff, and well, it's just good to always come together for remembering people.
Mhm.
And Terry was special to everybody.
Mhm. I can hear his whistle now.
Exactly, yeah.
I can hear the whistle.
Yeah.
And it was everything. He could whistle anything. It wasn't just, a whistle. He was always whistling a song.
Huh.
Hi, Rachel.
Mickey, if you want to, you can show your face there, honey. And Jason, you guys are theater. We want to see you. Come on. There you are.
Howdy.
Good to have you guys on.
Good to be here. It's good to see everybody.
Jason, why are you always so calm, cool, and collected?
I just I have no performance to do here. Lonnie's the one who has to worry.
Very good.
All I have to do is judge Lonnie, and it comes very naturally to me. And so,
Okay. Yeah, you've been doing that for quite a while.
Better living
yeah.
through chemistry.
Yeah. You'll get a real workout tonight. Don't you worry.
I'm here for it. I'm always here for this.
Yeah. All right, it is 5 after. I still think there's some folks sort of drifting in. We will go ahead and get started. I see so many faces of people that I love and that I miss and that I have really, really great memories of here. This is going to be a very sort of loose and informal thing. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lonnie Martin. I am the instructor of theater and film here at Davis and Elkins College. I am not only the hair club president, I was also a client. I was a student in 1993 to 98 and again in 2002. And I just I never left really in a lot of ways. I was a freelance filmmaker in DC for 12 years. And in 2018, my good friend Scott Goddard gave me a call and said, "Hey, Lonnie, we want to do some filmmaking here. Do you want to come do it?" And it seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. And here I am. Not sure if he actually graduated. We're just I still have that dream, by the way, Scott, where I'm like, I don't know, rush into Greg Wells' class to like, oh my God, I got to get one last credit in to get out, even though I'm 45. I have a couple videos of some of the stuff that our students have done here recently that I'm going to share. Mostly this tonight is about you guys. It's about us and our sort of shared love of and appreciation of Terry Hayes, who I have a couple of times called a titan among men. He's a huge influence on me. He was, I think, a huge influence. Probably, if you're here, he's probably a huge influence on you. And I just kind of want us to share stories and take a minute and just really remember him. This was originally supposed to kind of be an event that we were going to do, like kind of a weird improv-y kind of comedy show, and was supposed to be live. And actually, in some ways, I'm glad I went and became virtual because it kind of allows us, I think, to kind of get here and have this sort of fellowship. So if you've been a part of Zoom happy hours in the past year and a half, which I have, to keep them from getting chaotic, the way we're going to kind of roll is if you want to say something, if you want to share a story, and I'd love to give everybody time to share a story, log your name into the chat, just sort of say, hey, I got something I want to say, and then I will kind of MC the event, bringing people here in and out to share stories, share memories. Anything goes as far as I'm concerned. This is I have a couple things certainly that I can say. Terry was, my memories of Terry are joyful and laughter and funny. I got a lot of funny memories about Terry, and so I definitely want to laugh as much as possible tonight rather than the other thing. So
You want to go now?
And what we may do is mute everybody. If well, I don't know. I don't know how we want to do this, Wendy. If you want to keep everybody muted or keep everybody moving.
We're
We'll
good.
see how it goes. So you have a minute here. This is a monologue from one of Terry's favorite shows performed by our beginning acting classes that I would like to share with you and enjoy.
You've got all the money you need. You can't take it with you, and what's it got you?
Same kind of mail every morning, same kind of deals, same kind of meetings.
The same kind of dinners at night, the same indigestion. Where does the fun come in?
Don't you ever think there ought to be something more? You must have wanted more than that when you started out.
We haven't got too much time, you know. Any of us.
I have a lot of fun. Time enough for everything.
Read, talk, visit the zoo every now and then, practice my darts. Even have time to notice when spring comes around. Don't see anybody I don't want to.
Don't have 6 hours of things I have to do every day before I get 1 hour to do what I like.
And I haven't taken bicarbonate of soda in 35 years.
What's the matter with that?
How many of us would be willing to settle when we're young for what we eventually get?
All those plans we made, what happens to them?
It's only a handful of the lucky ones that can look back and say they even came close. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
Where are they all now?
Where are they all now, right? Those are mostly freshmen, non-actors. Not non-actors, but beginning acting students, mostly freshmen from the beginning acting class. We were, when I asked Ruth and I asked Rachel, I was like, what were Terry's favorite plays? I'm really thinking the Fantastics.
I can see this, but I'm not participating, I don't think.
Someone's participating.
Well, I don't know.
I think that's Ruth.
Oh, is it Ruth? Ruth, are you there?
No, I'm here, but yeah, I'm fine.
Everybody kept saying you can't take it with you, you can't take it with you. And so we were starting to collect again for this kind of nightmare. We started to collect we're gonna do some bits, some scenes and skits and stuff from Terry's favorite plays and do kind of an old Steve Allen style variety show. Anyway, my new colleague, Dr. Aubrey Newman, who sends regards, her parents are in town, so she can't be here tonight, but she just flipped through it and she found this monologue, and I just thought it sort of fit the mood, right? Terry and I had, right before Terry got sick, we kind of done this back and forth. I'm sitting in the theater library. I mentioned before, some of you got on the books behind me, most of which were Terry Hayes's, or now the Davis and Elkins College Theater Library. And he and I just started having this conversation about this archive project of like all these old photos and programs and kind of collecting all this stuff, organizing, digitizing, but sort of collecting some of these old stories. And I had this whole sense of like, we kept putting it off. He kept putting me off. I kept putting him off. And this whole, I was like, well, we got time, that whole idea that we got time. And it can be a bit of a reminder that we when he got sick, it was a reminder that we don't always have the time we think we're going to have. So for those of you who just joined us, the night tonight is about sharing stories, sharing memories. If you have something you want to share, please put it in the chat, and I will, I'll kind of keep track of everybody, keep track of the order. Just let me know in the chat and I'll just sort of give you your moment. As the bard once said, brevity is the soul of wit. So but some stories take longer to get out there. So if anyone wants to share something, please do so in the chat. I was thinking about some of my favorite Terry memories, and my most sort of vivid memory of him. Someone mentioned the whistling, but for me with Terry, it was always the laugh, right? He had this laugh. It was joyous and uproarious, and it was often at you as much as it was with you. Never cruel, but always sort of like, if you stepped in it, Terry let you know you stepped in it. It was always it was one of the sort of beautiful things about him. So anyway, it was during the 1995 production of the Fantastics, and he had designed that set, and it was against that sort of far open wall of the boiler house, and we were in the tech part of it at this point, and there was a flash pot that went off so El Gallo could appear, that Mike Hallett had designed, and we were in tech, we were doing the rehearsal, and the flash pot didn't go off, and Terry just joking around says, "Lonnie, go ahead and see your face in it. See if it'll work out." And because I was 19 and stupid, I did it. And I go over and go over there, and Mike Hallett goes, "Hey!" And he rushes over and yells at me. It's the only time. He had not been mad at me like that before or since. And he is reaming me out there. And he's so angry at me, but he's so angry but he's also angry at Terry, because the background while he's yelling at me, I hear Terry just laughing as hard as he can over the whole thing, over the chaos he had created here in this moment. And it's sort of my favorite, I always think back of that, of just him just like playing this joke on me and laughing, and Mike being really upset at me and really upset at Terry. It was a pretty good memory. So
everybody else in the room had a good laugh too.
Yeah, I everyone else did. I don't know. Yeah, Tom, I guess you were there, and Steve, you had to have been there too for that. I don't know. I don't remember who all was there.
Well, speaking of flashpots, Ruth would know this. I was doing a production for children's theater, and the flashpot went off in my face.
Oh.
I remember that. And it singed my costume. Do you remember that?
Yes. What was that? Do you
remember? It was
Aladdin. Aladdin, yes. Aladdin. Okay. Oh gosh, yeah.
And we were in hysterics. We could not even perform. We were laughing so hard. We had to turn around, catch a breath, and then go on.
When was that?
Oh gosh, 1982, I think.
Yeah, way back.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry was 33 years, man. 77 to 2010. Like that's a
amazing.
What a run, man. I mean, it's crazy to think about that. I didn't get a chance. We're sort of in the process of our archive project yet, so I haven't gone I didn't get a chance to sort of go in and say, like, well, how many shows did Terry direct? But it had to have been upwards of 40.
Yeah, at least I would think. There should be, if you find the old Nast stuff, you'll find his whole resume, and so that would be nice to know. He told me one time how many shows, over 100 shows. That wasn't all D&E, but it was mostly.
Yeah, we have it all here. It's all in various files that we're still sort of. I have a work study who is she just looks at all these boxes. She's like, "I'm supposed to do what?" And I'm like, "You're not going to finish it before you graduate. Don't worry. It's a long."
Everybody's tried to, right?
Susan Plum, you have a story you want to share. I'd love to hear it.
Yes. So when we did A Christmas Twist, I was pregnant at the time, and Terry was always constantly telling me, please don't have this baby untimely during the show. Like he would say that to me all the time. I'm like, I'm not going to have this baby yet, Terry. Well, when my son was finally born, the first thing that Terry said to me when he saw me is, and how is the young man that was untimely ripped from your womb? Because I had a cesarean.
He had a way of putting his finger right on it, just being like, "Oh, that's the thing. That's the thing." Nicole, and I guess as everybody's sort of telling the stories, go ahead and introduce yourself to the group as well, and when you were here, just so I think we have connective tissue from like the early 80s, I think all the way to sort of the 2000s here. So, but just go ahead and say when you were here.
Well, I'm Nicole Welch. Most of you knew me as Nikki when I was there. I transferred to D&E from Germany because that's where my dad was stationed from. So I was at D&E from 2003 to 2005. And one of my favorite Terry memories was I did summer stock theater at Hershey Park one year. And when I came back, the first thing that Terry did when he saw me is he came out of his office, walked up to me and started sniffing around to see if I smelled like chocolate. I told him I didn't, but he did not see the 5-pound Hershey bar that was behind my back, and I handed it to him and said that did. And I think that chocolate bar lasted for over a year of cast parties with little bits broken off every time. I found it in the freezer of a couple of the staff or the cast members when I went to their different apartments.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we were talking. Terry was always one for. He would show up at the cast party. I think I was there for the last era of keg softball. I don't know how. Or Tom, did that go deep? That went later into that go
That
deeper
was
beyond.
still going on in
2012.
2005.
2012
Really?
was when we stopped. Yeah, I had taken over as department chair. April Darris was on sabbatical. I was stepping in as department chair. And as Scott can elaborate, it was a different time at D&E, and I called Terry and said, "Do you really think this is still a good idea?" And he went, "Oh God, no." So I stuck my hand up and said, "Okay, I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the one that shuts down keg softball." And Terry and I had a long talk about it, and it was we came to the agreement that we had gotten lucky for a very, very long time, and I'm still happy to say we stopped it before we got unlucky in terms of someone getting hurt or us having real issues with that particular tradition.
All right. Well,
See,
Scott,
I just hear you had a lucky streak going and you broke it. What?
Know when to walk away from the
let it
table.
ride, baby.
Know when to walk away from the table, Headley. That's what I'm saying. Know when to fold it. And that was walking away and running, to quote Kenny Rogers.
Yeah. Scott, the way I tendered my resignation will be, we're bringing keg softball back.
That'd do it.
I'm in a new role now. Let's go tomorrow.
Yeah, right. That's right. You don't have to, it's not your problem anymore.
Nothing a waiver can't fix. Sign a waiver.
That's hilarious. Donna, you please share something.
Yeah, I have something. I'm Donna. I'm like Terry called me the Donna of many names because I've been married more than once. But I think I started doing shows with Terry when I guess Lonnie and I figured it out when Lonnie was a sophomore. So that would have been we did the 1995 Fantastics, right? That's when I started, and I'm still here accompanying for the musicals. But I think of all the shows I've done, the most fun was with a lot of you guys, and it was the Christmas Twist, right? I mean, that was a really funny show, and I've never really seen Terry get super angry, but he really got mad if people would go off script. Do you remember that? And I had Dr. Andre's electric keyboard, and I was up in the light booth, and that keyboard would shut off if I didn't play it for so many seconds. And so we had it timed that if those, like Scott, I think, and maybe Lonnie, I think Scott McKenzie was Scrooge, and I'm pretty sure Mike Tomino would always add stuff, and then he would make his lines too long, and then my keyboard would shut off. And I just remember Terry being very mad because people would add extra lines. That's like a favorite memory I have. I mean, they were so funny. We'd all just be laughing our heads off, but then I'd go to play and the piano would shut off. Does anyone remember that? That was funny though for me.
I don't remember the piano. I do remember us going off book and maybe never being on book in the first place. Who knows?
Actually, Scott would just go way off and everybody would just be dying laughing.
Yes, that's what I remember.
It was a great show. It was a, those of you who don't know, it was a combination of A Christmas Carol and Oliver Twist sort of jammed together in this extremely weird play. And it was, that was a comedic group of folks who did that one. So yeah, it was,
kind of the ultimate Terry show, right? I mean, had a lot of comic bits. It was self-referential to theater history, and yeah, there was plenty of shtick to go around.
Yeah,
that one made him happy.
Yeah, I've said a couple of times, you know, Terry wanted people to feel, you wanted to come out feeling better than you went in. Like that was it. That's what theater did, right? It was a place to sort of heal the wounds a little bit. And so yeah, it was a very, very sort of classical sensibility that was always really great. Bill McNaughton, class of '83. Welcome.
That's your cue, Billy.
I'm getting there. Hello. You see me and hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Yeah. My biggest thing, well, I was a real idiot in college. And,
no, you weren't.
I must have made the production staff really crazy. But Terry gave me a lead role in my senior year at A View from the Bridge. And I was like horrified because I was usually the zany guy, character actor kind of person. And it really changed me. I mean, it really did. I mean, and my academics went downhill in the fall, but it was life. It was that time it was a life experience changer, whatever. And I was Eddie Carboni, and really good cast, and it was really intense. You know, it's an intense play, and I really cherished that experience. I was a deer in the headlights for that, but I really cherish working with him and the whole cast. I'm starting tearing up a little bit. It was a great experience all around.
You know, I'm really interested. I know Ruth and I have talked a lot about sort of the early days, you know, when he got here, because it was that whole transition from like Claire Florentino had retired, you know, Mike Pedretti had been there and they had built the Boiler House and they had the movement theater, and then Terry comes in and really was a designer, right? You know, I mean, Terry was a lighting guy. He was a real gearhead. And you know, I always think of sort of the late 80s and the early 90s, the time we were just sort of this golden age of tech theater here at D&E. And I'm curious for those of you here in the early 80s, if you sort of felt that, if you felt like that energy kind of coming up and happening of like, you know, oh man, the tech stuff we're doing is really exciting, or if it just what that, you know, Terry in his early days, the pictures definitely kind of betray a real sort of, I don't want to say rebel without a cause, but definitely a guy seemed to be firing on all cylinders.
He really did love his stagecraft. absolutely. He would show us designs and talk ad nauseum about it. And we'd have to kind of bring him down. Terry, here, have a beer.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tara. I was Tara McKenzie when I was at D&E.
Hi, Tara.
Hello,
Tara, nice to
people.
see you.
Hello, people I know. So my parents had been at D&E during the Fiorentino era. And so I came in 76 and graduated in 80. And then my little brother, Scott McKenzie, who many of you know, was there later on. And but I do remember when Terry came, and we have the same birthday. So for some reason, we just, I don't know, connected around that. And he was just so kind and so different that he brought a whole different element to the constellation of the wonderful people leading the theater department. And I just have such really fond memories of just how caring I found him to be. And so that's really where I remember. Ruth, you too.
I know. That was such a good time. I mean, I was like I don't know, 13th of a person or something doing costuming, but Terry was always, he was my mentor first ever. And
yes,
got me so many things.
Yes.
Anyway, energy. His energy was amazing.
Tara, yes. The picture of you in the heiress, and Terry directing you in the heiress, it's a picture of Terry I keep in my office. Up on my chest. It's kind of it's in a place where I'm working. I can kind of see it, and so he's there. You're there with him, helping me keep it going. So.
And thank you. And that was so special because my mother had played the same role, years earlier than me. So it was very special to all of us. And Ruth, I still have, I don't think I was supposed to take any of the costumes. I know I was not. I know I was not, but here's my big confession. Somehow one of them from that show came with me.
Okay. Which one is it?
I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
I don't even really remember all the circumstances because it was a big ethical dilemma. I remember at the time we were graduating, but I don't even think it was then. I think it was years later when things were moving, and somehow, it wasn't when I graduated. It was years later. And anyway, it's just been very special. I guess I could probably return it or bequeath it to the theater department. But it's been super, super special to just have those memories. And I love what you all are doing to honor Terry and all of the history here. So it's nice to see everybody.
Good to see
Sarah, we're going to suspend your degree for 2 months or 6 months and send you an invoice for the dress.
Congratulations, everyone. The sting worked. We got Tara's confession on tape. So, all right.
I think I remember us figuring out at the time, because it was some conspiracy, there are other people involved. And I think we figured out some other way to donate something else to it. I have to really go back. I've repressed this, obviously. You can tell. I've repressed the details, all my professional life and personal life here. So
I'm just curious. What is it that you took?
It's one of the dresses from the heiress. It was the cream with brown stripes in the flounces of the ruffles. Yeah.
Nice. We'll have to find pictures of that. Yeah.
Yes. So apologies for that. But it definitely was a conspiracy of several people that had graduated prior years. So, yeah, sorry about that. True confessions.
I think we can let that one slide, Tara.
Thanks. I'll make a specific donation.
Tim Geyer.
Hey,
So first off, Headley, my son is going to be extremely excited that you're on this call. Your movie is his favorite Pixar movie. And he tells everybody that you graduated from my college. If you're like Lonnie, you didn't graduate, we still cover that up. My story goes with, I don't remember if I was still a student there, if I was working at admissions and helping out in the theater, but I'm in the shop and Terry comes bounding in and he's so excited, so pumped, because this is the point when he started transitioning theater, but trains became his life and he was really loving running the trains. And he comes in and he's like, I am really a train guy now. We're like, oh, what? He goes, I did something that every train conductor wants to do. What's that? I hit a car. And there was a guy who was stealing ballast from on the side of the tracks. And he saw it from a couple miles. He saw it from a distance and was blowing the horn. And the guy was still shoveling, trying to get the last little bit in before he pulled off, and didn't get out in time. And he hit the car. And he said he loved it. And I'm like, oh, all right. I guess that's you're now a veteran. But no, the other part of Terry that I really think is an important lesson that I've kind of taken is, you may not remember people's names, but he remembers important facts of everybody, and that sticks with them. So when he saw you, for me, he would always pick on the Pittsburgh Pirates and he'd just dig into them. But he found that little thing that really he could jab at, but also he respected that was your thing. And, that's a skill that I try and take to this day of, okay, I may not remember your name, but I remember something about you. And I try to remember things about you and take that into conversation. And he was a one of a kind. But
yeah, that making you feel like an equal, man. That just, like it's sitting you down and talking to you man to man, at a time when I was a boy and felt like a boy, right? But like just treating you like a grown up. And I know as teaching now, I do that same sort of thing of like, hey, no, I'm gonna put you up on equal ground. We're gonna be here on equal ground, and we're gonna talk through this. Bill, thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Kim Elza Wilkie.
Hey, hi, it's nice to see everybody. I met Terry when I started at D&E in 1987, which is really scary to think it's been that long. But when I saw that this was happening, I was trying to narrow down a memory, because I graduated in 91 and there are so many memories from the theater. But really what popped in my head was one of the last times that I saw Terry. And this was just a few years ago. We were doing the Polar Express with the old brick, and I was working on the train, and Terry was driving the train that night. And he just came back and we were joking and, I told him a train joke and he was laughing. And I don't think I'd ever seen him the entire time I was at D&E. I don't think I'd ever seen him just so happy and relaxed and carefree. And, that's what really stuck with me, is just, boy, he loved driving that train. I think almost as much as he loved theater, but, I guess, what, that's sort of every little boy's dream, to drive the train. And but I remember that night, just him smiling and laughing.
Yeah, that joy in everything, right? The joy in the trains, the joy in the shows. Again, like that sense of joy that's the word I keep coming back to when I kind of think about him and talk to him. It was just, everything was joyful, and it was fantastic. Rachel said that she can tell us a bit about the shows from the home side, which I'd certainly love to hear about.
Sure.
So interestingly, one of the things that made me think of this was when Bill McNaughton talked about his role in A View from the Bridge. That was my first play to be in. I had seen plays for my whole life, but that was the first one I was in. Yeah, it's somewhat intense at that age, because I was maybe, I don't know, 12 or something as part of the crowd. It wasn't a big part, but it was big for me to be able to go to work with my dad, you know, and to see what he did. And moving here, which we did in 1977, was a really big transition for us, not just to move from so far away, new place, new people, new everything, but here, you know, the house was over the hill from his work. And so he was home a lot more. He wasn't away all the time like he had been in Michigan. And I was 8 going on 9 when we moved here. And that's the first time I would go to work with him. And he would talk to me about what is art, what makes this art, what makes this a classic, what makes this, why did the author name it that show? And The Heiress was a big one that we talked about for weeks. Why did the character do that? Or not so much why did the character do it, why did the author write those lines? What did he mean by that? And that was my theater experience from that point forward for the rest of my life. Was, you know, what you have like one semester in high school English, I had every stinking day of my life. But it was fantastic to be able to have those conversations with him. And that was always a big thing for him, was what makes this show. Is it the actor? Is it the director? Is it the author? Is it the combination? And you know, if it was a musical, we heard no other music but that for weeks on end. But in the Straight Blaze too, we knew, we talked about those things incessantly. And it wasn't really until I got to college and I'm talking to other people and I'm like, oh, you didn't have that at your house all the time? Wow. Because boy, did I ever. But it's a fantastic thing to be normal, to be thinking about what makes something art. And there were some shows, and I think the two that come to mind to me first are The Diviners and Dracula. When he would come home and say, we made art today, you know, everything came together so perfectly in those two shows. And there were a lot of shows he was immensely proud of. And there were a lot of things that I think were very artistic, but just the right combination really clicked on those two.
You know, Terry the artist, you know, we think of Terry the teacher and Terry the director or whatever, but you know, Terry the artist, Terry the lighting designer. I mean, there was just something like, you know, Diviners and Dracula, Christmas Twist, I mean, for all its comedy, was just this sort of love. The lighting in that was just kind of amazing and spooky, you know. And I just, you know, his sort of, for me, it was always that what is the play about was something that stuck with me. It was one of the first things he ever said to me. I had my intro to theater. It was like the first day of like, what is this play about? You know, what is subtext? And just him sort of, you know, understanding it both as an educator and an artist, I think is such a huge part of who he was and what he gave us. Is that John Tadler raising his hand over there?
It is.
You have the floor, my friend.
Well, just a couple of things. One of the things I learned was how to take something that went wrong and make it right. I think the first show I worked on when I got there as a freshman was Whose Life Is It Anyway? And we built this big round set in the old shop, and it wouldn't fit through the door. So we had to saw it in two, take it over to the boiler house that way, and then we covered it with muslin in order to hide the seam essentially. And it worked. It was great. The other thing was the 10 tons of gravel for Oedipus Rex.
Oh my gosh.
We poured that in there. Yeah, we poured that in there for the set, and the dust from it was choking all the actors, and I would be there before the show with a hose, wetting it all down, and a couple of other crew guys. And as the lights baked the set, that dust started to rise up, and everyone said what a neat effect it was. And Terry was like, "Oh yeah, we planned it that way." And there was also the time he threw an eraser at me. Do you know that story? It was history of theater class, and he was talking about the Baroque period, and somebody asked why it was called the Baroque period, and Terry said, "Well, Tadler's the double major, ask him." And I said, and the question was, who paid for all this ornate stuff? And I said, well, Louis XIV did. That's why he went Baroque. And Terry threw an eraser at me. And I'm pretty sure he used that joke ever since.
That's fantastic. That's really good. So the gravel, like, did you bring it in the side door? Did you bring like, did it just come in?
It was pounds and tons of it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we kind of brought it in the side door. Getting it in was easy. Getting it out was not so easy.
And so I was only there before the new scene shop was built for, I think, about a year. And I don't have a memory. Were there double doors in? Were there double doors before the new scene shop?
Facing the gym, under what's currently under the light booth, would have been the only double doors into the
That's
space.
right. Still there. That's right. That's right. Okay. Wow, 10 tons of gravel.
We couldn't even get it out of the shop.
That's crazy. It's funny. Somebody mentioned the diviners when we made it rain on stage, right? And the same, kind of the same concept or the same idea of just like, it doesn't belong in a theater.
Yeah, that was the one. Lonnie Kegel and I, every night after that show, we used a shop vac and sucked up 70 gallons of water every single night after we ran the show. That was one of the longest cleanups I think I've ever done in my career.
Tom, my memory of you from that show is the night so the way they had done it, there was the shower in the dressing room that you guys hooked up a hose to, and we had this rain effect. It was a rain effect that came down, and one night at like the climax, when like Mike Brownlee and Scott McKenzie are having their big huge scene together, the rain, the hose, it popped off or whatever. Tom Hackman gets in the shower, basically just holds it up, just gets drenched to like keep the scene going. It was the ultimate take it for the team moment, man. It was great.
Hey, Lonnie, I wasn't there that was before my time. I've heard this story so many times, between Tom telling it or Becky make fun of his story of telling it, that I'm pretty sure I was there that night.
Yeah, it's I'm done at that point, and I'm just like watching mouth agape because I'm 19 and stupid, just watching Tom just get soaked, not helping, just watching.
The funny thing is that was my first college show.
Right.
And here I am, what are we at, 27 years later, I'm still doing this for a living. So apparently I didn't learn my lesson.
Gave Tom a standing ovation at the end of that. We were all standing outside clapping our hands for him when it was all over. Like, amazing.
And like Lonnie, I'm a member of the hair club, but I'm also the president, right?
That's right.
I graduated from D&E, I guess, winter of '98. 4 years later, I ran into Terry at a US ITT conference in New Orleans, I think. I was thinking about this today, and I think it was New Orleans because he could get there easily on the train, right? He didn't regularly go to US ITT, but if it was a city that he could catch a train to, he would be like, sure, I'll go. And I bumped into him on the expo floor, and this would have been like, I don't know, March of 2002. And Terry's like, oh, hey, I've been looking for you. I'm like, okay. He said, Mike Hallett's leaving. What do you think about coming back? And I did. That fall, Lonnie and I just missed each other on that little crossover there. And I was lucky enough to work with Terry for 6 years, 2002 to 2008. And it was a great experience. I mean, Terry was a mentor in so many ways, artistically and academically, and sort of helped me find my way as a brand new college professor, and get me on the right path. There are a lot of little moments in there that probably aren't necessarily appropriate for me to share in this context, but it was, I learned, I can't tell you how much I learned in those 6 years working alongside him. And then in 2010, I was teaching elsewhere. 2010, I told my kids this story this afternoon. Terry called me one day. I was doing a summer stock gig, driving from the scene shop to the theater at this summer stock, and my cell phone rang. It was Terry. He said, "Hey, I just walked out of Halliehurst. I told the president I'm going to retire, so he wants to talk to you." So when Terry retired in 2010, was when I came back to D&E for another 6-year round. And he was still a mentor then. Anytime I ran into an issue that was a little weird on the political side, particularly, I would call Terry, or he would wander into the boiler house, and we would have long conversations about things. And he had a tremendous impact on me and on my career. He, I can honestly say he's known my wife longer than I have. Terry's just been a part of my life since I was 18, right? Like a number of us in this. And I was lucky enough to have quite a few years working directly alongside him as with him as department chair and with him as just a colleague. So not to put a damper on this, but the other thing I thought of recently was, given where I live now, I live in the Shenandoah Valley in Lexington, Virginia. I came through Rockfish Gap a couple of weeks ago, which I do with some frequency. And anybody who took Terry's stagecraft class probably remembers there was always a word problem at some point on one of his, to put it in math terms, a word problem. At some point on one of his tests, there was a question that revolved around Sam Salad, the technical director of the Rockfish Gap Community Theater, has this many platforms and he needs to buy lumber to build them. And you had to figure out the board feet for how much lumber you had to buy. So Sam Salad, which was obviously a poke at Mike Hallett, but Sam Salad from the Rockfish Gap Community Theater, which is just up the road from me here. So every time I drive through Rockfish Gap, which Waynesboro, Virginia, if you're familiar with that area, that's Rockfish Gap. Every time I drive through there, I think about Sam Salad of the Rockfish Gap Community Theater.
That's fantastic. That's so good. Oh, that's really funny.
Did anybody ever get conned into helping him move a wood burning stove at his house? I think I'd moved like 4 in my 4 years of college and 2 years afterwards. I don't know how my back is still standing from that thing. They were always in his basement, and he had narrow stairs. Me and McClellan and Hallett and Terry, and we're, other than Terry, all pretty young, buff guys. And yeah, every year, and it was always heavier the next time.
And Terry would outwork you every time too.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. I got a better one. now. You got to help me.
We didn't move a wood stove, Tim, but we certainly moved I remember moving 2, this was part of stagecraft apprenticeships, or whatever they call work study or whatever. We had to move 2 hot tubs, one for Terry and one for Greg. That was always good. And then I also enjoyed the work, creating a little platform outside the Boiler House Theater because it got so muddy there after a while. So that's where many of us learned how to use a circular saw and a nail gun and the like. So, by the way, I'm Steve McAvey. I was graduated 95, was there from 91 to 95. And I don't have a particular Terry story, but I definitely have some Terry moments that have stood with me for these 26 years. There's certainly, I definitely remember the time that, I won't call him out here. I know Tara called herself out for a moment, but a colleague, a student at the time, was doing a little running into window game, and he may have accidentally broke it, and so this student was bandaged, and we were summoned to Terry's office, and he said, "Steve, I can't believe you did this." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I can't believe you did this?" my colleague was bloodied to the neck to my left. So that was one moment I'll never forget. I mean, I always really enjoyed. Again, the theater shop was at the old what was it, Harper McNeely's at the building. How long has I been there? Yeah. And so getting in Terry's gray truck and wheeling the stuff across campus and just the times we would just chat was always just terrific. When he, or if we didn't do it, then we had to walk across campus with the 4x8 platforms. Those were always fun times too. But he always made it, he always made us have ownership for it, and so I definitely appreciated that. And he taught us not only theater lessons but life lessons as well, and so I'll never forget that. And my favorite line that I still have to this day, I'm not sure if he told others, I'm not sure if it was a statement on my talent or not, but he said, "Steve, if you could do anything else in life and love it, do it." And that's where it was for me, and that's where that's been a guiding principle in my life. And when I was certainly between my junior and senior year, family and I was having some financial issues, and so I took a semester off, and Terry challenged me. He's like, "I'm going to bet you $5 that you won't come back." And I remember coming back, and I remember we had like the welcome in the theater at the Boiler House, and he owned up on his bet and he gave me $5 in front of everybody. So it was and I still have it framed. I was looking for it earlier to bring it here, but I couldn't find it. But I have it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Steve, whether it initiated with you or not, that line stuck through a lot of those end of the semester reviews that we all sat through. Even after we all graduated and I was a member of the faculty, Terry would throw that out. And I've asked myself that question quite a few times, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Yeah, Tom, I think I've the Hair Club for Men, I think I've used it myself, talking to students. To that point, Tom, his are not shoes I think one tries to fill. I think those of us who have found ourselves in a similar position of Terry, we kind of walk the path that he blazed a little bit, and you find your own sort of way through it. But he was one of a kind in terms of that. And there's so much of him I find myself emulating, what I'm just, Tom, I envy you having that mentorship, because there's so much of him that I like, that I would love to have directly. I have from what I saw, and I try to sort of emulate it, and it's tough, but I'm sitting in this room with his collection of plays behind me. That's it's hard to put into words.
And to this day, I know where the Globe Theater is.
Oh yeah.
Just
Those
outside
theater
the city
history
limit, right?
quizzes, pre-internet theater history quizzes were brutal.
Yeah, and the 4 things you need for theater. That's the big one. I always I pass on, that I always do. What are the 4 things we need to make theater, according to Terry R. Hayes? This is a quiz.
I'll stay out of this.
You're all getting graded.
Body.
What? Who said what?
Body.
Oh, well, what's up? It's a body, but what is the body? What the body of a what?
Movement.
The body of an actor?
Is it actors?
It's actors.
A space. a stage. You need a story or a script.
An idea, just an idea.
Fine. I don't need your judgment. And is it a director?
No, you don't need a director.
You need a director.
You need an audience.
Audience. The audience.
Boom.
The most important, perhaps, right? Oh, all right. Everybody gets an F.
I wasn't told there'd be no quizzes.
Susan, you have a graduation memory, and I think we're coming up on the end of our hour here, but go ahead, and I think you have time to share your graduation memory.
So as I mentioned before, I had a baby and then I graduated like a week or so later. And Terry said to me, he said, Susan, we have just gone through this whole pregnancy with you. Everyone has. And we just, and you had this baby right before graduation. And I think you need to take that child across the stage. And I said, I can't do that, Terry. They won't let me do that. And I'd never heard anyone say this, and this isn't exactly the way he said it, but what he actually said was don't ask permission, just do it. So as you know, we came to be a society that says it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. And in his way, Terry said, don't ask for permission, Susan, you're carrying this child across the stage. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a great story. We are coming to the end of our hour here. I am so happy that so many people came out to participate in this. This has been really great. It's been really great for me to kind of see this and see old friends. D&E Theater, I think, it was very important to me, obviously, since I somehow found my way back. And it's great to see that it was important to so many people, and that Terry has been important to so many people. We are in the process of, we're going to dedicate a memorial bench to Terry here on campus. There's some sort of pricing things at this point that are going out. If any alumni, of course, would like to contribute to a memorial fund for Terry for this sort of memorial bench, there'll be some information that will come out at a certain point. For that, the reason the information hadn't gone out beforehand is we're still figuring out the price of the bench and all that stuff. But the idea, I think, is it's going to sit, if you remember Presidential Hill, it's going to sit on the hill kind of facing the boiler house, with the idea that people could sort of sit and see the place. See the place that Terry made so many memories, right? And D&E Theater continue in the age of COVID, as much as we can. D&E Theater continues to roll along. We start rehearsals Monday for our fall show, which is Eurydice by Sarah Rule. I think it's November 12th to the 14th. I make no plans and no announcements. There have been discussions about a possible live stream component, so which we did for our spring show Proof, to kind of allow all these folks from all over the country who can't get to Elkins easily to maybe participate and see the show. Does anyone have any final words, any final sort of thing they want to say? We have sort of one last video we did, a little bit of a tribute here. A couple of us got together and worked on for Terry, that I'll sort of leave you with, and it'll be sort of
Consider him first and foremost.
Say again?
I'm just listening.
Oh,
Hey, Lonnie, I just want to say one quick thing, if I could. Just I always thought of Terry as the head of the department. That was the thing. And as an outsider who was allowed to play in your all department, it was just a hell of a group between him and, in my time, 92 to 96, between him and Greg and Howard and the batch of all of you that just invited me in and let me play. The thing that I loved so much about it was there was this area to play, and it was also taken very seriously. And it's like, if you're going to be here, if you're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And that's a thing that I've carried, just throughout all the different aspects of my life, is like, when you show up, just show up and do the damn job. And whether you're going to end up, in the entertainment business or any other type of business, just do the job and do it well. And that was just such a special thing to apply to such a ephemeral endeavor. So I always appreciated that. And I think that trickled down from the top. So
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
I just wanted to say real quickly that I've appreciated seeing everybody, but the longevity of students from the very beginning when Terry was there, and now seeing your students perform for him. And what is the most important thing is that we recognize that it goes on, and Terry, that's what Terry would want. And, it gives us the courage to go on. And he loved the students. So you need to let your students know that he loved what they did tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Everyone here is an important part of D&E Theater. And as long as I'm here keeping the pilot light on, my door is open. For those of you, I think most of you know, we have this sort of Facebook Boiler House alumni group that things get posted on from time to time. I'll make sure my contact info is posted there, and my door is open, and the legacy of D&E Theater is going to continue and continue to do great and wonderful things, and we will keep Terry's legacy alive. I promise you that. So with that,
thank you very much for having this.
Thank you for being part of it. You're welcome. It's my
honor. Love you, Ruth.
Love you too. Definitely good to see everybody.
You guys continue to stay on. Continue to
I
stay
will
on.
leave
We
you
have
with
another.
sort of our this last little bit of something. Oh wait, except I got the wrong video up, because see, Terry would never have oh, hang on. Terry would never allow the tech to go this poorly.
Back it up, start again.
Yeah, so back it up, back to one, everybody. And hang on.
Stick your face in there, see what went wrong.
Yeah, Terry. Yeah. Oh, it's gonna blow up. Thanks for coming, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. And please come see us, come see a show sometime.
Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. in December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember without a hurt. The heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts should remember and follow. Follow.
Thank you all for joining. And thank you, Terry.
It was beautiful.
Thank you for coming, everyone.